Well, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's December 3rd. Um, and I'm here just hanging out. Got back from the LA Kings game that started at 7:30, so that was done by about I want to say 10:30 ish. And I am staying a little awake because I did have to take advantage of something. So, this is a Dutch Brothers drink. And for us Los Angeles people, the hope and wait for Dutch Brothers has taken a very long time, to the point that a lot of people are just like, itching to get Dutch Brothers, which, a lot of people are like, well, this place is better than Starbucks and all of this other stuff, which I will have to say I do agree with that. I do like the drinks at Dutch Brothers much more fondly. I'm a lot more fond of these drinks than I am with Starbucks. However, Starbucks is still far more convenient. And I will say that, and I'll go into this in just a bit, but I do use Starbucks during my drives, and I'll go into that in just a bit. But one of the other things, too, is that this was actually, and I thought that I was going to be done with Tatsu Ramen right after Thanksgiving. Actually, I had Tatsu Ramen on Black Friday to take advantage of $10 off during the entire month of November. But I realized that I had a free drink left that I needed to use by December 12th, and I had the perfect time to use it, which was post Kings game, leaving Staples Center after the Capitals won, which I'm completely okay with. Beating the Kings, because it was really a lackluster game on both ends. Alex Ovechkin did get 2 assists in that game, but no goals. He was this close to getting an empty netter, but he got stymied. I was really hoping he'd get the empty netter, so at least I could see that he scored, one of his, I don't know how many, like 910 goals or something like that, that he has right now. Now holding the all-time NHL scoring record and continuing to add up on it as long as he's still playing and active. It's pretty ridiculous. So I have to say, Staples Center was not uh, completely sold out on a Tuesday night, and I'm pretty convinced that most of the people there were just there to see Ovi. Because seriously, it was really funny. I have to say, it is nice to see this. Um, just going off on that whole thing with Dutch Bros, because it's literally been open for less than a week. I think it opened. I gotta check. I think it opened on like the 29th. It hasn't even been open a week yet, and it was pretty crowded. And for those who are familiar with the USC area, um, it's basically on the corner of Fig and Exposition. In one of the retail spots that has like apartments above it. It's in the same retail line as Chick-fil-A and a couple other things. I will say that parking is very awful there, and because I was coming in right before they closed at 11, I actually made the cut. They were so busy that they actually stopped online ordering on the app, because I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna just put my order in on the app and then get down there, but I stopped a little bit. Um, yeah, I had to do what most Door Dashers have to do, is park on the median with my flashers on. But then, it worked out in the end, and I did get my drink. And it was really funny because there were people, lots of students there. Not surprising. It's a Tuesday night. Finals are literally next week for many of these students. Um, their academic schedule is in line with Long Beach City Colleges, so I'm completely aware of that schedule. My last class session is next Tuesday, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Um, and then I start class again early in January for the winter intersession, so I'm very fortunate to have a class, like one online class I get to teach in January. So I am not SOL with a paycheck, which I am very grateful for. I will say is that I have had continuous at least one class on my schedule every single semester and intersession for the last year. It's been very helpful, especially with the times and everything like that. But back to the whole Dutch Bros thing. with it being busy and all, and me parking in the medium. They had their well, they were students really. I think the person who served me was currently majoring over at the Price School, which is price policy. Kind of related to Marshall, but not really. It's like Marshall adjacent. I like to say that, even though they don't like to admit it. Um, but I said something to the degree of, man, I have to say, if you guys were around when I was an undergrad in 2006, that would have been freaking amazing. But honest question, why the hell did you guys decide to open after I got laid off from USC? Like, this is messed up. I actually did ask that question. And I'm just like, do you guys, I asked one of them, I said, do you still have your academic advisor? I had to ask it. I'm all like, do you still have like staff to help you? Or is it a desert over there? Because, and now that student did tell me that Price School wasn't affected as badly, which I did not hear that Price School that got affected. I still think about those layoffs. I know I have to mention this again, but one of the funniest things was that one of the schools that did not lay anyone off, of all of the schools, and I'm sorry, I love music, but seriously, the Thornton Music School was the only school at SC, one of the few schools at SC that did not lay off a single person. I think what they did reportedly was that they reduced the hours of like two people, but they did not lay them off. I'm sitting here going, like, what do they do? Do they like clean out the clarinets or something when they're all done playing with them? Like, how are they able to keep all their people? And yet, where I used to work, they don't even want to comment on the number of people they chopped. It's pretty impressive. I don't know what that's about. Um, so I will say too, and this is for everyone who has been watching the stuff that I am doing. First off, I want to thank you for the positive feedback that I got on that random Thanksgiving morning broadcast that went almost like well over 38 minutes. I just continued rambling on, and I know that for some people they're going, can she just shut up by now? It's like, well, you could just like, move to another page on Facebook. You don't have to keep watching me. But for the people who do watch, I am very appreciative of the kind words and the encouragement of saying, hey, this is kind of stuff that you could totally talk about in a podcast, or you could totally do this. And you have a good way of saying things and, a good voice to go with it. And I've said, I appreciate that. And it is nice to know that people do choose to listen to some of the stuff I have to say. And so I will say this in response to that. Many years ago, when I started doing these, um, I used to broadcast these during my lunch breaks when I was still working in a charter school in South LA. And these were actually meant to just vent and just talk about the absurdities that I have to deal with on a day to day basis, but in such a way that it wouldn't incriminate me. I know that there were some people who were like, are you sure it's okay for you to talk about this stuff? And, you know, considering that as time went on and I was actually doing these on lunch break with a coworker in the room at the same time, which by the way, that coworker is still at that school and is now like one of the higher ups there, which is pretty awesome. I'm glad that he stuck it out and stayed there. Um, I think you just come to the realization that some things, it is what it is. You say things and people listen and people go, well, I mean, you're just telling it like it is. It's not like I'm going here and going, bleep this, bleep that. I hate this place and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, no. One of the things that I have learned is that the more you just tell a story and just try to stay to the facts and just tell like it is that the absurdities just write themselves, and you really can't get into trouble for something that's not untrue. I mean, um, the whole, definition of defamation. It's only defamation if you're lying about the situation, if you are accusing somebody or anything like that. But if I'm just saying it like it is, if I'm talking about how I decided to delay my break for example, this one actually did happen years ago, is for some reason the principal thought it was a really good idea to put the office manager in charge of me when I was working the technology there. And so what had happened was we were in the middle of standardized state testing, and we all had all of these laptops. They were Chromebooks, and they all had to be on the system. Well, what would happen is that I had an open door policy during the times of the standardized testing, because I knew that those laptops were going to go to shit. So what I did was I kept my door open, and if a student had an issue, teacher would just send them straight to my room, down the hall. I'm right here. And I'd go in, I'd reset their stuff, and then they send them on their way, make sure they logged in properly, and they can go continue their standardized testing, right? So I am here, hired to work the technology, to ensure that everything is functional so that they can continue to do whatever the hell they were doing. Well, apparently one day my office manager did not like the fact that I delayed a 10-minute break. No, I'm not even kidding. Did not That I delayed a 10-minute break by half an hour because I had a line of students at my door needing to get a certain thing reset because something just kept crashing. Connectivity to the statewide system that I had no control over, but I knew that by resetting the connection, it would solve the problem and they would be able to continue going. So of course, in a very professional fashion, I received this email saying, this is just a warning to you that you need to take your breaks when they are called upon. And I'm like, okay, fine. So you're punishing me for not taking a break on time. So of course, me being annoyed by this, knowing that this person is less educated than I am, and was just put in this position just because she's an office manager, and apparently I'm part of the office. I decide to reply to her and CC HR and the principal, and I go, many apologies. I do apologize for taking 30 minutes extra before taking the break that I am supposed to be taking. Unfortunately, I had a line of students out my door, and I wanted to prioritize their ability to take a standardized test, by which the results of said standardized test would affect potential, whatever accreditation or whatever the hell they were trying to get. And I'm just like, yeah, I apologize. If you would like to discuss alternatives in terms of assistance to these students while I am on break during these pivotal times of the standardized tests, then please let me know, and we will, I would love to meet with you and just figure this out. Well, of course, she shut the hell up. you know. Fast forward in time, but that person finally did get fired for embezzling money. So you know what? I guess things just kind of go where they do. Um, I like to go on those tangents because I will say one of the things that I hate doing is screwing people over. I just don't like doing it. It's not in my nature to do so. And one of the things that I've learned about work and the things that I do, because a lot of the things I do are based on a particular process, and if everything's programmed correctly, everything's hunky-dory. And if it's screwed up and you don't let me fix it, it's probably going to stay that way. The way I look at it is that I don't have to do much to let you burn. I really don't. I fix what's broken, and if the broken person's you will burn yourself. I don't have to do much to start that, and I'll let you dig your own hole. I mean, I just need a microwave so I can make popcorn. That's all I need, but that's just my opinion. But I will say too is I this last week, starting Thanksgiving, so I worked Thursday through Monday, I did finally complete what is considered to be a full week of work. And I will say that to keep myself busy, or at least to keep my mind occupied so that I don't feel like I'm in such despair when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I have turned it into kind of a sociology research project, in that I have discovered the very strange patterns that arise in terms of travel between Thanksgiving and the weekend right after. I will say this as a point of advice: when possible, don't even bother going to the airport. Thanksgiving is garbage. I mean, the fact that people still find a priority to use this one weekend, this short ass weekend, to go see family, to eat dinner, and all that. I mean, it's nice if you still have family. Fortunately, I don't have that problem, but LAX is a place that no one wants to be at when it's normal. So, who in their right mind thinks it's okay to be there on Thanksgiving or to use that weekend to do so? And I kind of think of it from the standpoint of a student, especially one that lives out of state. Now, I was fortunate that I did not need to travel to go home for Thanksgiving back then when I actually did go home. I actually stopped that trend around my second year at USC. I was at USC for 3 years as a student. I actually spent my Thanksgivings and Christmases in my dorm, despite the fact that I lived 12 miles away from my parents. Uh, I did that on purpose. I came to a point where um, traditionally they didn't even like celebrate the holidays, nor did they have any sort of significance. There was no togetherness. There was nothing of the sort. So I just basically said, well, that ain't happening. Why would I waste my time there feeling miserable? Because the only reason why I had to go home was because the washing machine and the dryer were free to use. And for some reason, my mother was very insistent in doing my laundry every weekend. I think that was probably like she was trying to find like her one like justification for keeping me around for some reason, like making it feel important that I'm doing something for you. I mean, I know what she was doing for me. Um, it was a lot of mental despair and emotional abuse, but that's a whole different story in itself. So yeah, I'm okay with the holidays. I'm getting better about it. I find that the more I work through the holidays and just forget about it, the better I feel. But one of the more interesting strategies that I saw this year, which I guess is a thing now, is that there are a lot of people who choose to travel on Thanksgiving Day. I found that to be very interesting. Thursday was actually one of the most busiest days that I was driving people to LAX. Black Friday was second place. Both of those days, people were traveling out and going home to wherever. But I will say that the worst cluster easily was Sunday. It was so bad that by 5:30 in the morning, it already looked like what it would have been at 8 a.m. And then to make things worse is that this was Sunday we're talking about, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I'm over taking my second passenger into LAX, and it was so crowded that departures level, which is the top floor of LAX, was closed down, and we were all redirected downstairs to drop off passengers. That's how bad it got. And it was a very unidirectional. It was a mass exodus out of LAX. That was everybody being dropped off to leave, to fly out, not to come in. It was to go. You know, one of the weird patterns that you will notice about Los Angeles, being what it is that you have your two factions of people in Los Angeles. You have the one faction who have lived here for pretty much the majority of their lives, like me, and then you have the people who are imports. These are the ones who grew up somewhere else and they came here to work, live, grow, transfer, whatever the hell they were doing. So everybody in the second faction were the ones that were GTFOing and going home and leaving. And as a result of that, most holidays, it is very quiet here in Los Angeles. If you want to go see the beach and you want to have it all to yourself, you come here on Labor Day. That's what you do. You come here on Labor Day because no one is at the beach on Labor Day. Everybody left for Las Vegas, where it's still like 100+ degrees, because that's a good idea. And I will say this, okay, traveling to Las Vegas on Labor Day weekend is a really shitty idea. I have flashbacks from many, many years ago when I used to get my butt dragged to Las Vegas all the time because my folks never trusted me with a babysitter or didn't let me just stay with someone else who wasn't going. In fact, at one point, I had begged and pleaded to not go to Las Vegas during one of the trips that they were going to do in July, and they had promised that they were going to leave me with somebody, like a relative. and then turned around and lied to me about it, and I had to go anyway, and I was so pissed about it. Yeah, there was a point. People were like, but it's Las Vegas. I said, no, there was a point that I really did not want to go because I was so sick of the damn place. Because they would not do anything there. It wasn't that kid friendly. Yeah, there were a bunch of arcades and stuff, but you couldn't do anything when your folks wouldn't give you any quarters. And at that time, I was actively writing journals just to like cope with things. But like, I could write journals anywhere. Why do I have to travel Las Vegas and do that? It's like, heh. Um, but I will say this: if you're driving I-15 from Las Vegas and you're leaving at the end of Labor Day weekend to go back to LA, it could take you upwards to 8 hours to drive back. Could you imagine 8 hours to drive from Las Vegas on I-15? This is assuming good weather and full lanes open all the way across, all 275 miles that you need to get back here. Slow as balls. Yeah. I mean, we put this in perspective. Okay, that is barely half the distance from LA to Sacramento and takes just as much time to get home. That's how slow as balls it was. And I don't miss that. I don't go to Las Vegas on Labor Day weekend. I'm usually, if I ever go in the month of September, it's usually in the middle of the month, away from the holiday, because that's usually when the seasonal travel starts to dwindle. Yeah. Actually, to be fair, if you wanted to go to Las Vegas, okay, it's December 3rd right now. This would be a great time for you to go right now. There's nobody in Vegas right now. That would be a great time for you to go. And I believe F1's over. So all of that hullabaloo is over if you do anything on the strip. Now, I think eventually I might be starting to discuss what to do in Las Vegas that's not on the strip, because I have curated a list of all of the great places to eat that I have discovered and other things that you can do that have nothing to do with being in the wasteland that every tourist and their mother likes to visit. Because I will say, after many years of doing like, being a tourist and being dumped on the strip and having to walk that entire 4.5 miles when I was still young and able to do so with sandals on, I don't even know how the hell I was able to walk from Tropicana all the way to Circus, which is 4.5 miles, by the way. Yeah, I can see it from there. No, you can't. That is 4.5 miles. You need to take like the monorail or the bus to make that without dying. But I guess when you're young and invincible, you can you can walk 4.5 miles and not think about it. Especially when you're an unattended minor with a sack of quarters and you had to spend them as slowly as possible. Otherwise, you would have nothing to do until you made it all the way back to Tropicana. And back then, the Las Vegas monorail only went up to MGM or something like that. It was a short throw monorail. It wasn't actually very far. And I didn't do the bus much. But I digress. With that all said, and thinking about the success of the documentary that I did back in October of 2025, covering the final 18 hours of the Tropicana before it was imploded. Um, I will say that I have been inspired to just continue being very casual and talking about this in my messy little room here. Maybe I'll come up with a better backdrop, but nah, this is just me in my room. That's all I'm going to do. But I did create a separate channel to post these when I'm done with them on the Facebook Lives, because Facebook actually deletes these after 30 days. And in my way of archiving, as I used to on my current YouTube channel, I have decided that I'm going to put everything on a new YouTube channel, which I happily call, and I had to come up with this title while I was driving on Sunday, Monday. But the new channel on YouTube is called A Mischief of Christine, which is a play on words based on my time as a rat rescuer, the trouble that I cause when I talk about stuff, and me as a person. And I will be putting this on the new channel and advertising it out just for fun to see where this goes. This is completely organic. It's whatever comes to mind, and whatever topics might be on my mind or may have been suggested to me. And it could range from anything about the history of Las Vegas to things that stupid supervisors have done to me, to, you know, Dutch Brothers at that one place I used to go to school at, you know. By the way, this is a medium drink in a large cup with extra ice. So no, I'm not sucking down like 32 ounces. This is more like a 24. But it's like, well, Christine, why are you drinking coffee at 12:53 in the morning? I said, you realize how whack my sleep schedule is now? With me on my day off right now, this is my second day off. I know that I should have been in bed by now. It's almost what, 1 o'clock. I should have been in bed at like 7 p.m., but I'm not. Yeah, you just do what you have to do. And go with it. I had a good evening, watching hockey and yelling Columbus Blue Jackets references, uh, wearing a Capitals jersey in the 300 section, surrounded by Los Angeles Kings fans who were continuously complaining of the fact that the Kings, and this is a known fact, is that the Kings do not shoot the puck during power play opportunities. This has been a problem for over 25 years. You can keep yelling at them to shoot the puck. They never shoot the puck, and you wonder why they don't score. You know? Didn't they have that dude, was it Wayne Gretzky, on their team at one point? You know, the one who coined up that very famous uh, quote that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I have to say, having that person as a former captain of the Los Angeles Kings, it just seems like that has not rubbed off on them. But it's okay. When you actually realize that they came within one series of winning the Stanley Cup back in 1993. But then this dude named Patrick Waugh shows up, and he basically stands on his head as a goaltender, in front of, within a front of like a stacked team. And I was also reading an article realizing that about 30 years ago, yeah, 30 years ago in 1995 was the infamous game where Coach Tremblay left him out to dry against the Red Wings, and they lost like 11-2 or something like that. That was the famous one where he went to the team president and basically said, "I'm completely done. I'm not playing for Montreal anymore. You better trade me." And then he proceeded to go and win the Stanley Cup with Colorado that year. Yeah. I just realized it's, based on reports and articles that I've read, is that it's been 30 years since that incident happened. So, yeah, I can see why, you can get pretty pissed off when you're left out to dry. I'm experiencing that right now, just not as a hockey player. Although I will say, though, because of this work schedule that I'm doing right now, I feel like I am being left out to dry because I had to choose the opportunity to get health insurance over the ability to play hockey right now, and I really don't like it. My entire schedule is screwed up, and it is disappointing. I cannot play normal beer league games unless they fall on a Tuesday at this point, until I'm given the green light to be able to change my schedule to reflect my actual life. I had to take this because these shifts that I do, to ensure that I would be able to continue my other job at Long Beach City and to be able to teach. So it's like I have to take the good with the bad, I guess. But I sure do miss my hockey. I really would like to play some, but I don't want to be a zombie behind the wheel, because that's a safety risk to both me and everybody else inside the car. Things that I take seriously, like trying not to die. You would think that driving, a lot of people think, oh, you're just driving. I was like, no, I'm doing more than driving. No, I'm ensuring safety. I am navigating. I am performing probably the highest levels of customer service that you need to do, because you have to be able to compose yourself while controlling a piece of heavy machinery, while making sure you don't piss off the person behind you, while making sure that they're comfortable. Most of the time, they're pretty cool and chill about it. But I'll tell you, I've had my share of some uptight ones too. And the only thing that you can do is just be as quiet. Sometimes you have to suffer in silence until they get out of your car. So, you know, you do what you can. But anyway, with that said, tomorrow's another relaxing day. One of the things, and just a piece of advice, especially with like these hard 40-hour schedules that I have to do with the 2 days off, is that this is where goal setting is extremely important. And so I'm reverting back to an old style of goal setting, as in task completion, that I did years ago when I had to work really really weird jobs, and I was freelancing and I needed to get stuff done, but it was hard to focus. Is that I would take a post-it note and just write a list of no more than, if I had 2 days off, no more than 6 tasks that I needed to finish that were within reason. And I'm looking at this post-it note right now and just realizing that today, one, two, three, four, five. So I have 7 tasks on this thing, but I have completed 5 of them today, and that also allowed me to be able to go to the Kings game without any problems. So I do like the fact that I am still sticking to the plan here, and it'll be okay. So yeah, with that said, I think I'm going to go to bed now, or at least try to. Yes, I know, with a bunch of coffee in my head, but oh, believe me, I'm tired enough that it's not going to even phase me. And then wake up, rinse, repeat, and go from there. But yeah, for those who are watching live, great. But for those who get to see this in the morning, um, yeah, I'm doing okay. I just got to take it once again, one day at a time, and stay tuned on A Mischief of Christine for uh, these particular mini-sodes to be posted and shared to the for public consumption, I guess. You know, it's it's entertaining, and I think that it's just a way of me um, evolving from what I used to do to vent my frustrations about life and the pursuit of happiness, and that was through intense journal writing, which I, from high school to college, I logged probably close to over almost 3,000 pages worth of stuff, which is now in storage. But I think now with this medium of live video, sometimes live video to no one until later, like delayed live video, or just posting whenever I feel like it. I am finding that this medium is a lot more organic and saves my wrist, because I will blow through pens like crazy, but it's nice to be able to just say, hey, this is what's going on, and feel like I'm in my own little podcast video blog show. Because why not, right? What do we have to lose now? So anyway, talk to everyone soon. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. I will find some time to relax. Of course, Wednesday does end early for me because I do have to be in bed by probably 8 p.m. But at least I can be a little bit more productive. And I did finish scooping up all of the downed guavas and broken glass. Yes, broken glass from my vegetation area where my rose bushes are. Um, for those who don't know about my psychotic neighbor who lives next door to me, this person, I swear to God, I think this person is just trying to ruin other people's lives because she herself is ruined as a person. But I did have to pick out broken glass out of my rose bushes because she had taken her car and reversed it close enough to have destroyed one of my lawn lights that was. I've had it for a while. It actually wasn't mine. It belonged to my ex roommate, but I kept it there. But it's now broken, so I don't have a lawn light anymore, and I'm probably not going to put one there because it'll probably get destroyed again. Yeah. And broken glass is very hazardous, especially when there are children running around. That's the thing. I pray that I never become that miserable. I pray that I never become so miserable that I get stuck with someone who is so horrible that You know, he's been thrown out at least like 65 times, and I used to like turn it into a drinking game. I hope that I'm not miserable to a point where I will just settle for garbage in my life, and then be so miserable to have a desire to just continue to spread that garbage across the world. I hope I never become that miserable. Like I am surrounded by examples of both positive and negative. And I'll tell you, the trash heap to my left, literal disaster. And this lady is probably only like 3, 4 years older than me. This is the most pathetic part about the whole thing, is that I am looking at like the ghost of Christmas future if I don't change my if I change my ways in the wrong way. That's horrible. Like, ugh. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on that. And if she decides to destroy something else, I'll have it on camera, so that's cool. I actually have a compilation of those things, but I'm not going to publicly do that because then she's going to go after me for defamation, even though it's all true. You know how that goes. Anyway, be good. I will talk to you all later, and stay tuned for more updates on that crazy project I decided to do because y'all inspired me. And let's make it happen, right? Talk to y'all soon.